to Accra, to Ghana, to the University of Ghana, to attend this all-important event, which for the first time in the history of the continent brings together academic staff associations to deliberate on the critical issue of academic freedom and its relationship and connection with democracy and development on the continent. The decision to organize a conference around the theme Safeguarding Academic Freedom in Africa, a continental dialogue for collective action, was dictated to by the fact that 1 year after the coming into place of Academic Coalition for Academic Freedom, Africa Coalition for Academic Freedom, ACAF, we realized that after a careful study of the African freedom landscape, academic freedom landscape in Africa, there was a major gap, which is the fact that there is no regional grouping of academic staff associations. This is unlike other actors in the academic freedom equation. For example, we have the universities represented by Association of African Universities and students by the All Africa Students Union. And we consider that as a significant lacuna which needed to be filled. Considering that academics have played a major role in the promotion of protection of academic freedom on the continent, referencing the two major academic freedom documents we have, the Kampala Declaration and then the Dar es Salaam Declaration. So that meant that we needed to fill this gap. And I'm glad that today we have 45 representatives from 45 African countries representing the continent to undertake this major project. We are happy to have such a representation, and it's unfortunate that we couldn't bring in the African Commission on Human and People's Rights reps who expressed deep interest, but because they just finished their session in the Gambia, they couldn't make it. But they've given us a word that they are with us. And one of the important things we want to deliberate on, which is developing the African principles on academic freedom, they say they are with us and they will support us in going forward with this. The conference is to be used as a forum for associations to form sub-regional groupings, that is North, Southern, East, West, and Central Africa blocks under the coordination of ACAF towards the eventual formation of a continent-wide association of academic staff associations. The 3-day event is therefore aims to do 4 things: to collectively assess the current state of academic freedom in each African country and share experiences and identify challenges. 2, to develop coordinated advocacy and protection strategies for implementation at the national, sub-regional, and continental levels to deal with such challenges. 3, to evolve a continental framework for coordinated action and solidarity. And 4, to reinforce a continental network of academic staff associations to facilitate ongoing dialogue, information sharing, and joint action. All these objectives are motivated, guided, and grounded in existing international human rights principles, including the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which recognizes the need for individuals and organs of society to promote respect for and freedoms through teaching and education, as elaborated under paragraph 6 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We also have the right to take part in government directly or indirectly through chosen representatives. And that is also why we are here. And to freely assemble and associate, as well as to form and join trade unions for the protection of the interests of our people. We have these rights, which are also supported by the UNGA Declaration on Human Rights Defenders, which says, for the purpose of promoting and protecting human rights and fundamental freedoms, everyone shall have the rights, individually and in association with others, at the national and international levels, to meet or assemble peacefully, to form, join, and participate in non-governmental organizations, associations, or groups, to communicate with non-governmental or intergovernmental organizations. The concept of associations being formed by scholars is not something new. In fact, you may trace it back into the history of higher education on the continent. And these associations helped not only to establish pillars of intellectual discourse, but also to network and collaborate, promote advocacy and representation, disseminate knowledge, and set standards and accreditation. All these being influenced by academic freedom principles. The famous Dar es Salaam Declaration on Academic Freedom and Social Responsibility was developed by academic unions in Dar es Salaam. And we are also guided by the Kampala Declaration on Intellectual Freedom and Social Responsibility, which all recognize that as scholars, we are not supposed to remain in the ivory tower, but to use the space that we have, the academic freedom that we enjoy, to bring, to take gown to town and to ensure that we associate with the fundamental human rights needs and concerns of the people. So our coming in here is not just for our personal sake and for our personal good. We are using this platform to promote and to fight for democracy, human rights, and development on the continent. And on that note, I want to assure you that the deliberations we're going to have here will be something that will bring hope to the continent and to help us to come together to form these associations and to use it as a means to also connect to the regional economic communities as well as AU at the larger platform. I wish to thank you very much and welcome you to Ghana. And we are hoping that you not only do the deliberations, but also have time to see a little bit of the country. Thank you very much and welcome once again to Ghana.
Thank you very much, Professor Kweju Apiaji Atwa. And also, I think a round of applause would do for the Africa Coalition for Academic Freedom, championing academic freedom in Africa. It's a great initiative that will go a long way to actually give us the opportunity to express ourselves and also to impart knowledge within our community and then advance to the place that we want to be. We're going to continue with the welcome address as I invite Professor Joseph Yaro, Provost of College of Humanities, who will be representing the Vice Chancellor for University of Ghana, Professor Nana Abba Apia Amfo. Please, a round of applause for him.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I welcome you to the University of Ghana. So, the representative of Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, the representative of the Honorable Minister of Education, our guest from Africa and beyond, distinguished academics and policymakers, partners from across Accra and all the other regions, our students, unions, ladies and gentlemen. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I deliver this welcome address. So it's a great honor to welcome you all to the University of Ghana for this important conference on safeguarding academic freedom in Africa, a continental dialogue for collective action. And we are really proud that we are hosting our Africa Coalition for Academic Freedom, which certainly is in the right direction and has come at the right time, and certainly led by one of our renowned law professors. It is fitting that this gathering is held here at the University of Ghana, an institution that has, since its founding in 1948, stood firmly at the forefront of defending academic freedom and institutional autonomy in Ghana and across the continent. The ideals of independence, critical inquiry, freedom of expression have shaped our identity and continue to guide our contribution to national and continental development. The University of Ghana was established, just a small history, as the University College of the Gold Coast through the University College Ordinance of 1948. It later became the University College of Ghana, and by the University of Ghana Act 1961, assumed its present form and name. And from its earliest days, the university's pursuit of academic freedom reflected the conviction that universities must be spaces of free thought and fearless scholarship. Over time, the university's autonomy has faced challenges, from colonial control to political interference after independence. Yet our institution has remained steadfast. As early as 1966, the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Alexander Kwapong, warned against viewing academic freedom as an imperialist luxury. He emphasized that without it, universities cannot serve society or advance Africa's development. His words remain true today. The University of Ghana holds that academic freedom is not merely an academic ideal, but a fundamental pillar for the growth of higher education in Africa. It is the foundation upon which innovation, creativity, and responsible citizenship are built. And without it, universities lose their ability to generate independent knowledge and influence public policy for the common good. Our history is filled with moments that affirm this conviction. An example, in 2014, when the national security officers challenged the university's authority to regulate its campus by putting up the new gate at Onglo, the community stood united in defense of institutional autonomy. And today, the site is proudly known as Academic Freedom Road, adding one more major or becoming the major entrance to the university. Similarly, when the Public University Bill threatened to compromise university independence, the University of Ghana led the national and the continental advocacy that helped ensure that the bill did not pass. These experiences remind us that the struggle for academic freedom is continuous. Each generation must renew its commitment to protect the autonomy of universities and the right to think, teach, and debate freely. The development and global relevance of Africa's higher education system depend on how well we safeguard these freedoms and make them central to governance, teaching, and research. This conference, under the leadership of Professor Kwadwo Appiagyei-Etua and the Africa Coalition for Academic Freedom, offers an important platform to reflect on these issues and to chart a continental strategy for collective action. Your discussions over the next 3 days on the themes you have decided on will be vital to strengthening academic freedom as a shared African priority. As the University of Ghana continues to lead in higher education, we reaffirm that the academic freedom is not a privilege, but the lifeblood of the university. It ensures that research thrives, innovation flourishes, and truth remains our guiding light. And in the same vein, the University of Ghana does not dictate what our faculty or students do. Everyone has the freedom to decide on what is relevant and of interest to them. Distinguished guests, I invite you to feel at home on our campus, engage in frank dialogue, and join us in renewing Africa's collective resolve to safeguard academic freedom. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Nanaba Amfo, I say Akwaba, you are most welcome, and I wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Joseph Yaro. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one thing that I think I took from what he said is the struggle for academic freedom continues. We don't stop. We keep going until we are free and absolutely free. All right, so we're going to move away from the welcome address and then now go into the opening remarks. And to start with that, I'd like to invite the Director for Accra Accreditation, that is GITEC, who will be standing in for the Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Haruna Idrisu. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Mr. Saka Sayuti.
Thank you very much. Just to issue a disclaimer, my minister is not a doctor, because over the last few months, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has started a campaign to clamp down on all unauthorized use of academic titles, including professors and doctors. So as representative of the minister, I issue this disclaimer on his behalf before GTEC rise to the minister to explain where he got the title from. Thank you. Honorable Chief of Staff at the Office of the Vice President, representative of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Minister and the Minister of Education of Ghana, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, I welcome you all to this important maiden conference organized by African Coalition for Academic Freedom in collaboration with Scholars in Risk Network to advance research and promote the culture of respect and academic freedom in Africa. The theme for this conference, Safeguarding Academic Freedom in Africa, Continental Dialogue for Collective Action, resonates well with the changing global academic landscape. I understand that over 45 country representatives from leaders of national academic staff associations in higher education, institutions, scholars, policymakers, researchers, and civil society organizations across the continent are participating in this conference to engage in critical discussions on the challenges and opportunities in safeguarding academic freedom in Africa higher education institutions. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am hopeful that this conference will help promote, enhance, and equip academic staff associations to play a more pivotal role in promoting university governance, academic freedom for academics and students, so as to build constructive relationships between academics and government. Considering the important organic links that lie between academic freedom, democracy, and development, I believe the deliberations of this conference and post-conference activities will yield the desired democratic and developmental dividends. It is the responsibility of government all over the world to place value on harmony and cooperation in its relationship with the academic staff unions and to recognize them as an important component of university governance to protect the institutional autonomy of the universities. In this regard, I am pleased to note that the government of Ghana has shown keen interest in promoting positive relations with academics through the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG. It is important to highlight that this does not mean that the relationship between the teacher unions and the government has always been cordial. Tensions and disagreements have sometimes characterized discussions, but at the end of the day, we create a platform to agree to disagree. Relationships between the two parties should not only lead to acrimony, but harmony. Government should play its role as the duty bearer and staff unions as the right holders, but with limitations and accompanying responsibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, our relationship with UTAC over the years has not only been shaped by the traditional salary negotiations, conditions of service, and other related labor issues, but also by the broader political climate. It is therefore important for governments to value the research outputs and comments of academics and the role they play in policy debates and national discourse. The institutional independence of the university means your voice is valuable and critical in national conversations. In public universities in Ghana are generally established by acts of parliament as corporate bodies to fulfill a non-commercial purpose for the public good or social good. They therefore fit into the definition of public corporations as provided for under Article 190 of Ghana's 1992 Constitution. For example, just like all public corporations under Section 14(1) of the Presidential Transition Act of 2012, Act 845, all councils and boards are dissolved upon the coming into force of a new government. However, universities are special public corporations for the purposes of guaranteeing the institutional autonomy of the universities and the academic freedom of staff and students. To give attention and meaning to Article 21(1)(b) of Ghana's Constitution, will give direct recognition to academic freedom. A key feature of public universities is the fact that they have bicameral governance structure, namely the governing councils and the academic boards. They include the separation of the functions of the university governing councils and that of the academic boards. The appointment of the vice chancellors and the chancellors are also done internally by the universities, while staff appointments ultimately are done or approved by the governing councils of the respective universities. Externally, certain structures have also been put in place to ensure accountability and effective collaboration between government and the university, such as the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, the Public Accounts Committee, and the Office of the Auditor General. Then there is the Ministry of Education, and of course its giant agent, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. The ministry is primarily government entity responsible for the overall governance and management of Ghana's education system. Its functions include initiating and formulating education policies, advising government on plans, policy coordination, and monitoring the implementation of sector-wide strategies. On its part, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission is responsible for regulating and accrediting all private and public tertiary educational institutions and their programs to ensure quality and standards. The Commission also advises the Minister for Education on the development of tertiary education institutions. Finally, the Commission works to promote efficient administration and the application of knowledge through research and collaboration with industry. Article 21(1)(e) thereof of Ghana's constitution also specifically recognizes freedom of association, which shall include freedom to form or join unions or other associations, be it national or international, for the protection of individual rights. Also, Article 24(3) provides that, I quote, every worker has a right to form or join a trade union of his or her choice for the promotion and protection of his economic and social interest. In conclusion, let me reiterate the commitment of the government of His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, and the Ministry of Education to safeguard academic freedom and to ensure that it is used appropriately to help the universities achieve its goals of promoting the pursuit, production, and dissemination of application of knowledge to improve social, political, and economic conditions in the country for the greater good of society. I take this opportunity once again to welcome you all to Ghana and to wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you for your kind attention, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Mr. Saka Sayuti, Director Accreditation, GTEC, thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for him for the last time. All right, so distinguished ladies and gentlemen, representing Her Excellency Professor Jainana Opoku Ajiman, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, I'd like to invite the Chief of Staff, Office of the Vice President, Mr. Alex Segbefia. A round of applause for him.
Good morning, all. I'll stand on all the existing protocols well established, with your leave. I'm going to read this speech on behalf of Her Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Achiman. Anything that is said that does not meet the requirements is of me and not of her. All the good stuff is of her. As a former VC of one of the principal public universities in the country, and based on my experience with academic staff associations, ASF, ASAs, I believe the role and place of academic staff associations in the university space is a crucial one. It is for this reason that I am delighted to take part in the opening ceremony of this all-important gathering of 44 ASAs across the continent in Accra. Looking at the history of the development of ASAs in African universities, in most cases, they emerged with a narrow focus to catering to the welfare of their constituents, which initially covered bread and butter issues. However, this mandate was extended to cover tenure, call for improved working conditions, etc., which party rested on relationships with government on the one hand and university management on the other. This is where trade unionism entered the picture. However, the increased attempt by the state to encroach on the university space, especially in the 1970s to the early 1990s, during the period of one-party and military rule in Africa, ASAs turned to the adoption of the language of academic freedom to protect their space and emphasize the importance of academic freedom for scientific progress, the pursuit of truth, research, collaboration among academics, and quality high education. Related to this, the issue of academic freedom for the universities, that is, institutional autonomy, also became a vexed matter between government and ASAs. This is attributed to the absence of democratic control of university administration, the blatant refusal of university administration to allow for participatory decision-making, arbitrariness, and high-handedness on the part of university authorities. While ASAs collaborated well with student leadership to confront violations of institutional autonomy, little was done to improve relationship with students within the classroom. However, in the case of Tanzania, something different happened on the 19th of April, 1990, where 12 delegates from autonomous staff associations of 6 institutions of higher education in Tanzania, other representatives from some 8 other institutions of higher education who did not as yet have staff associations and student representatives met in Dar to adopt the Dar es Salaam Declaration on Academic Freedom and Social Responsibility of Academics. This historic document recognized under paragraph 14 thereof that, and I quote, all members of the academic community have the right to fulfill their functions of teaching, doing research, writing, learning, exchanging and disseminating information, and providing services without fear of interference or repression from the state or any other public authority, end quote. The declaration also emphasized that the participation of the academic community in the struggle of their people is inseparable, linked with the struggle for the autonomy of institutions of higher education and the freedom to pursue knowledge without let, hindrance, and interference from persons in authority. Later in the same year, Rhodesia convened a conference for scholars across the continent to meet in Kampala, Uganda, to adopt the Kampala Declaration on Intellectual Freedom and Social Responsibility, which also expressed the relationship between academic freedom and institutional autonomy embedded in wider popular struggles for democracy and human rights. Through this means, academics and their unions expressed the importance of providing leadership in higher educational institutions and becoming a voice for the voiceless, as well as seeking to promote the interests of the common people to access higher education. All these efforts find legal basis in, among others, the 1997 ILO UNESCO recommendations on the status of higher education's teaching personnel, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, amongst others. In paragraph 39 of the General Comment 13 of the CSCR on rights to education, the committee also remarked that academic freedom includes the liberty of individuals to express freely opinions about the institution or system in which they work, to fulfill their functions without discrimination or fear of repression by the state or any other actors, to participate in professional or representative academic bodies, and to enjoy all the internationally recognized human rights applicable to other individuals in the same jurisdiction. The role of academic institutions as organs of society in advancing academic freedom in Africa is thus emphasized here. The concept, though, is not a new phenomenon. In the past, scholars formed societies to discuss scientific and philosophical ideas. These associations helped to establish pillars of intellectual discourse. Other functions they performed included networking and collaboration, advocacy and representation, dissemination of knowledge, standard setting, and accreditation, amongst others. In Ghana, our 1992 Constitution recognizes academic freedom, in addition to providing certain bulwarks which seek to buttress academic freedom for the universities. However, in 2018, the previous government sought to pass the Public University Bill, which was designed to severely violate the sacred tenets of academic freedom protected in the Fourth Republic Constitution of Ghana, complicate the governance structure of the universities, and create more problems than seek to resolve. The bill was resisted in no uncertain terms by the university community, non-governmental organizations, and public-spirited individuals, and the Ghana Academy of Arts and Science. In the campaign to the 2020 general elections in Ghana, as the NDC running mate at the time, I had the opportunity to voice my opposition to the bill by indicating thus, and I quote, a bill, public university bill, that will give the presidency the power to appoint and fire a vice chancellor or allow the sector minister to give policy directions to universities, which will have to be complied with, has no business being considered for passage into law. End of quote. Fortunately, the bill did not get to see the light of day. In conclusion, I wish to encourage you to focus part of your deliberations on ensuring that leadership development in Africa's public universities to promote academic freedom and democratization of our university system. I also propose that ASAs engage in constructive dialogue as reflected in the conference theme, so that all relevant actors in the academic freedom equation, including the government, university management, and students, will avoid seeing a conflict of perception of the mission and raise deter of the university and see the university as a critical watchdog for the promotion of higher education and democratic enhancement in society. The lack of a continental body to represent the interests of academics before the African Union and its human rights bodies, such as the African Commission and African Court on Human and People's Rights, constitutes a major gap. I therefore commend ACAF for this important initiative to bridge that gap, even at the sub-regional level as well. I thank you all, and you're welcome to Ghana.
Chief of Staff, Office of the Vice President, Mr. Alex Segbefia, powerfully standing in the shoes of Her Excellency Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajiman, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look now at our keynote address. And to help us to do this, I'd like to invite the Director, Amilcar Cabral, Center for Social Studies, Lecturer, Catholic University, Guinea-Bissau. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Carlos Eugenio Monteiro Cardoso. A round of applause for him.
I want to begin expressing my profound gratitude to the organizers that invited me to give this keynote address. I will speak in Portuguese, and I think there is no problem with this because we have translation in this room. Eu gostaria de dizer que o título da minha comunicação é Salvaguardando a liberdade académica em África? Que desafios para o século XXI? Vou dividir esta comunicação em 5 partes. Na primeira parte, vou falar sobre as transformações ocorridas no ensino superior africano nas 3 últimas décadas e o seu impacto na liberdade académica. Num segundo ponto, vou falar sobre os ataques ao ensino superior e à liberdade académica. E um terceiro ponto, vou falar sobre o papel das associações académicas na promoção e defesa da liberdade académica no continente. Em quarto lugar, vou falar sobre os desafios enfrentados pelas associações académicas, para terminar com o quinto ponto sobre algumas recomendações.
I also talk about recommendations that will be needed to counter these challenges. This communication, this particular, the transformation in this 20th century, the impact of academic freedom in Africa. The first principal part is that
uma parte significativa
has very big impact in society. It's very important that it also plays a very important part in our economic and social lives. It is also, it is a very, it plays a very big political and social role in our societies. And universities are very important in development, in economic development, and also they provide important research and investigations, and also the important debates and dialogues. That's important to our democracy and regional development. And which also provides the members to also give critiques to the society. The universities support independent research, and also it is also important that it's added in academic research. It is very important to add to advance the academic freedom, and in 2025 scholars in 2024 and also on 30th July, there were violations that happened with our academic freedoms, and we were able to overcome them. And professors helped us in Afghanistan, Brazil, and also in the United States, where we're able to overcome academic challenges, and also in African countries as well as Kenya, Uganda, and to go to the subject and the topic. With 3 things to take note of. As the first thing to take note of is that academicians have a strong impact in society. The second thing is that they have to construct a very strong and implement very concrete academic writings, which would also help the university society and also contribute to the development of the society. Let's look at the conference that to solidarize the gains that we've made so far and also share information that would help. Africa has the potential with the Kampala Declaration that was made in Dar es Salaam to solo these platforms that have been given to us, that is academic freedom, and also overcome these challenges that are in the 20th century, the 21st century. For this give birth to the birth of practical insights that could help academicians in Africa. Also, it is also important to take note of that the transformation that has occurred in Africa in the last 3 decades, and the transformation and the impact that has had on the economic freedom. Let's start with publicizing about how Africa has been transformed with its gains it has made so far in different universities, and also the and also in this in our country, for example, the massive impact it has had. Three three academicians revealed that in 2023 in public universities, 30 students have been able to 30 students have been able to have tried to write critiques, have been able to criticize things about the country, which they have been able to do so freely. This was in 2021, and in 2020 and in 2022. Okay. Yeah.
The rate students and teachers also evaluate in consideration way and increase in between countries in the Occidental Africa, West Africa was a mark of this evolution, and like various African university in the movement, global movement that was practiced in the northern universities and was introducing all the aspects in transnationalization and liberation. And but um, the digital space between the countries in the north that Africa is part, the new technology of and communication was was able to introduce considerations and in the method of teaching. During the 19, some voices for the revitalization of the African university and connection of the tertiary education development. This program of the tertiary education was implemented for a group of ministers of education in one meeting in the international meeting of UNESCO about the tertiary education that was made in 2009. The ministers they asked for an increasing of the financial in tertiary education research. But another thing also was the speeches and the other things and the reality that we found and the evolution in the tertiary education. We can also remember that the reform that was introduced with the Declaration of Bologna in 1999 was made in the context of crisis, of lack of funds for research and the teaching and the human research infrastructures that was not able to implement the number of students, but we also could verify some contentment that for a lack of works and leadership, this space had many challenges that many universities that was facing for them to able to achieve their objective and as a producers of knowledge. With this all alteration, also a change the condition of production of knowledge was transformed the institution in space for production for the capitalist market in terms of knowledge, but also in terms of profile of these people and other characteristics for the reduction of funds for research and but also for the scientific production that was fermented and managed in this in the external agendas, but also the role of the academic African academic and also the knowledge with all these with these factors we can see that one university that the role and produce of knowledge can be reduced as just as a function as reproductive conservative institution that lost its potential and and became imperative and in their obligation social obligation and this challenge that was put by the globalization that they limit the global produce of knowledge and the autonomy, tertiary autonomy. We can say that step by step, the universities, public university, they lose their space for their right. The reforms that has been implemented by the government of this country uh, give us a clear image of the process of the lack of autonomy of this institution also the lack of the right of freedom is we can say that the transformation in this university was was we can say that it was not in transformation and less in the sense that they can do their role in the public service. We're here. We can ask, what's what's the mean of the academic freedom in this nowadays? If we can compare the the other ages, the the concept of the academic freedom in the society spaces, considering the Kampala Declaration and Bersalan Declaration also. In 1930, 10,000 was participate in the meeting that Albert Einstein talked about the importance of the academic freedom. What's the mean that we can attribute to this academic freedom nowadays compare in the decades of 30s or 90s? I can say that we can't answer all these questions in these 3 days of conference or in this type of communication, but we can say that some of these questions we can have some of these answers because in the other side we have knowledge of this study that has been happening, but all this study they're still going slow. Uh, condition was changed about knowledge in general way and also the research in the social space, but they didn't change the formal requirements, but today the capacity in general
Civil em particular, resistir
society
às tentativas
is the attempt of corruption and limitation of the academic freedom. I can say that the condition has been changed to a positive way. If we have a meeting, uh, a long meeting, compared the data of 2003, like 50 years ago, we can say that a positive way that academic freedom increase in 50 countries. That's my data. But also we state and other colleagues also that even with all this advancement in academic freedom index, they say that and a global vision on the academic in 169 countries with the data of 2003 and show that academic freedom was was strengthened in the medium in the global space and also in the national level the authorization of 2024 of this academic freedom index. 23 countries they don't have academic freedom and they were only increased in 10 countries. And even on this same index, 3.6 million people they live in the countries that the academic freedom is totally limited. But we can also see, and we have example that I will not develop more on the attacks on tertiary education and the academic freedom, violent attacks against the academia students and their institutions. These attacks are one of the threats in the tertiary education. These attacks in great scale, like the infrastructure, workers, students, and we also like murders and threaten against individuals or groups. And these same attacks result in death, injury, and also the lack of security and they threaten the students, teachers, and also in general society. And because of that, they don't allow many peoples of the tertiary education, threaten the tertiary education, and also lack of academic freedom. These same attacks on the tertiary education that was reported on the report of 2023 was the result of the lack of condition in the global space about education freedom in Africa. We can verify that the the force of security they go against students just because they want to exercise their rights of academic freedom. We can see we saw in Mozambique that in 14th of November 2004 the members of the criminal research they used civil clothes. They took a student called Agapito in October in 2024. The police arrested Victor Ducon, a PhD student in the institution of research in August of 2004 in Madagascar. Police used gas against students that was protesting about their right of freedom. Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, a group of students they went to protest in the Ministry of Education against of the increasing of fees and these protests the police used force in December of 2024, sorry. In September of this year, 30 to 41 students in Guinea-Bissau that they were supposed to go for their studies in Portugal. They were arrested in the Lisbon airport, and the Portuguese authorities, they said that they were lacking some documents when these same students and to receive their visas, they were they were they were supposed to present all the documents. But in Nigeria, we have more challenge against human rights and also the right of freedom. I will not say much, but I want to say I would say the third part of my communication, the role the of the association of teachers is being critical and principle in the defense for them to avoid that this right of freedom. So we can say that this association can intervene in various aspects, and we can say that it's the public defense and implementation of norms. I will not say much about it, but another aspect is the documentation and denounce of these violations. And the third aspect is the jurisdiction defense and collective negotiation. We have groups or syndicates about the academical people in Kenya, Nigeria, that they utilize the laboral legislation and the power of negotiation for them to be able to defend the teachers, students, and their rights and the student autonomy. I can say that in Guinea-Bissau, one colleague was persecuted because of one opinion, uh, a political opinion, but he was punishment inside in his university, in the only public university in the country. So we 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 always face many challenges in this per- persecution in various parts. So the association they are trying to create international networking scholar terrorists that have that has a, a critical role in this association between between national international level, but also these associations are able to avoid efforts about the capacity building political with various workshops that they organize. But we also have critical example of the utilization of instrument that I already said, like Kampala Declaration. What's the strong points on these associations? One of the strong points that these associations, most of the case, they have a legitimate authority between the academia, knowledge, knowledge institutional. They have access to the laws and the networking, the national networking, and this strong point, they give more strength to these defenders in terms of norms. But we also can see some limitation, and it's one of the things that I want to talk more. I can say that the this effort varies between the countries and the force of this same group or association. I know some association the East part like Tanzania, they also Nigeria also attend. They have one implementation, a strong implementation. Also, they have uh, it, my colleagues that are here from this country, they can confirm about it. So, what's the challenge that this association the face in the promotion of freedom? One of the if challenge is that these associations, that is every uh, every part of Africa, they have been defenders of the African freedom, but they challenge various challenge, political challenge, institutional challenge, and most of these challenge the they affect the effectiveness of this association. And I don't want to be long, but I just want to say that some of the political challenges, problem with the states, and but more in the political sector, but also they have challenge about the juridical protection that's very weak. But they also face some challenge, institutional challenge and administrative challenge. The the university governance in most of our counties so is centralized. In my county, the chancellor is normally is nominated by the minister, and normally the minister needs to go and listen to what the president of the republic is saying, and this is the reality in most of our countries. In this, the political interference in the management of this institution, we have like a sword above us in some of our university and academic institution. The people, they don't have the freedom to create solution in some of the challenge, and all these are centralized in this political sector, but also there are restriction, financial restriction and organization restriction. Most of these associations, they depends on the contribution of the members, that 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 small contribution because of lack of salary and irregular payments of this institution. Most of the teacher, they decided to leave the profession, and sometimes they need to work in 3 or more universities just to have a moderate salary. But also we have governance governance problem, internal governance problems. So what can we recommend for these associations for them to be able to face these challenges? So I'll pass to the fifth part of my communication. We thought that these associations, they need to continue to defend and to expand the academical freedom, but for this they need to reinforce their political and juridical sector, also to develop the capacity, internal capacity, and of the good governance, but also they need to promote the inclusion. What we see in most of these institutions is that the feminine participation is very limited in this association, but also the sustainability in this association challenge. Also, we need to to make effort to to increase the financial sustainability in these associations. The list goes on, but I just want to refer that the necessity of promoting dialogue and the the implementation, and this workshop goes along this path. And after saying this, And also just to conclude, what are the challenge and what's the perspective of the freedom, academic freedom in Africa? I, uh, I said that the landscape of tertiary education changed in the last decades, but with this, some conditions also change in knowledge production, in general way, and also how this university works. The AI that today is transforming our society and the position in terms of the new technology. The AI is also entering the university. And most of the university they are discussing about the implementation. Scholars might know that for the children to be less dependent on the AI. So it's one of the aspects that we can see, and we are working on that. So these are the lessons that we can learn from it. It's true that some condition was maintained that we can say we can knowledge production, but also the necessity of the freedom. I can say to conclude to inspire in the definition and the principles that was saying the Kampala Declaration that has some and also the necessity of continue the reform of the university in the 21st century. We can identify some challenge in the global view. The first one is what I said is the challenge about the gender. We can see that in the declaration that the intellectual community they have the obligation to contribute in the affirmative declaration to correct the based in the gender, nationality, or any social disadvantage. One of the questions I can state like, what can we do about this recommendation about the gender? One of the things I want is about the. I can say that these are the challenges that we continue to face because of this monitoring system that if it's made in some parties is still weak and has not achieved that continental dimension that was supposed to. We also said in the Kampala Declaration that the members of the intellectual community they need to achieve some norms. We can also see in some countries like Angola, for example, we saw an inclusion in, inclusion of some articles in the constitution of this country that facilitate the defense of this academical freedom. So what can the academia made that is able to go forward with the academic freedom and also other aspect that I think that is important is the realization of research about the academic freedom. I can state three examples that research that was made in serious way. First one was in Angola for a colleague of mine, empirical methodology research in the province of Wheeler, Namibia, and Luanda. In my own research, I can say that my colleague Kwadjo Apia, the, 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 they made a report that is very relevant in the question about academic freedom. That they made an inventory in the relationship between the laws and the academic freedom. But in Angola, the published something to the public of colleagues of the Catholic University that also about academic freedom. And the last, just to finish, I think that we need to ask the behavior of some institution about the academic freedom to monitor and to regulate this instrument. Uh, the colleagues, this everything that I wanted to communicate and just to complete the ideas. Thank you so much.
Obrigado, Dr. Carlos Eugenio Montero Cardoso. I also spoke some of what you all heard. So if you're here, ladies and gentlemen, and you felt like you did not understand most of the things that he said, our translators are up there. You can check it out from them and then get more details from what he said to all of us. Essentially, what he's trying to say is academic freedom is a must for every African, and we must do all that we can to make sure that we use it to progress our nations, our countries, and Africa. We don't have to allow anything or whatsoever to stop us from achieving that. A round of applause for him. All right, so at this moment, we're going to have a performance, and a wonderful theater group that has been doing great things all over Ghana and across Africa will be coming on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a cultural display by ABB Groma Theater Company. A round of applause for them.
Yeah. Ah. Eh. Aya. Eh. Aya. Coco 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 coca. Coco coco coca. Coco coco coca. Coco coco coca. Coco, coco coca. Coco 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 coca. Coco 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 coca. Coco 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 coca. Coco 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 coca. Coco 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 coca. Aya, aya, aya.
Ladies and gentlemen, APP Groma Theatre, a round of applause for them. All right, so we are getting ready for our coffee break, but before that, we're going to have a group photograph. So I'd like to call our dignitaries to join me here, and then some of us will come in batches. Prof, Doc, please, if you can join us. No, please join us. Yeah, thank you. So I like to call them, and then a few of us in the front seat would come. We want to fill out this place before we take that picture, and then the next batch will also come. But then our dignitaries would always be in front of us. So please, let's stand here. And then a few of us, please, if we can join them. Yeah, stand. Please, you can feel free to join us. Feel free. And then I think we'll stand at the back. Yeah, more or less like, yeah. Our dignitaries will be in front. So please, let's allow the dignitaries to be in front, and then we can also join them. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take this first picture, and then the rest of us will go outside. There's a bigger space over there so that we can have everybody at once. All right, so let's do this quickly. Well, if since some of you are not willing, I'm going to be standing close by them then. All right, so we're going to go outside, and from there, there's a coffee break on your left. We're going to take 30 minutes for the coffee break, ladies and gentlemen. So please, we're going to go for the group photograph outside. Let us all pay attention to the photograph that we're going to take. It's a one-off picture, and then we would move straight to the coffee break section. And then take 30 minutes over there and come back to continue with the rest of today. Thank you. A quick announcement. I know that there are some laptops that are here. I mean, they're all safe. We have people that are watching over them. But then, please, they are safe. Your laptops are safe, just so you know. And then we have people that are watching. So please, if there's anybody at all that you get to look at differently in terms of like they're picking something that does not belong to them, you can quickly report to anybody at all over here. But then I don't think anybody at all can pick anything from here. Thank you. Representing where? CDD.